So our first piece of news today, Kamal Nanjiani is in
Yes.
talks to play Booster Gold. Thoughts?
Well, again, DC is going similar to what Marvel did with like these third party kind of characters. I don't know how to feel about this. I would have to see how he looks in a
In the
hero
suit.
costume. You know, it's
Yeah.
going to be weird.
Yeah, and it's like if you don't know, Booster Gold is a character from the future who he was a janitor in this museum of all superhero artifacts, like in the 31st century,
Hmm.
and he ends up going back in time. And he decides that, you know what, I'm going to take this technology from the future, go back to like the 21st century and be a superhero, make a name for myself. That way I can be rich and famous.
Hmm.
And he ends up kind of realizing that, oh, superheroes don't do it for the fame and the glory. They do it because it's the right things to do.
Correct.
Kamal Nanjiani can definitely play that.
Yeah.
However, one of the big things is Booster Gold is friends with Blue Beetle. And they had this whole team of Blue and Gold. It was a great arc during the comics. While it was originally with Booster Gold and the Ted Kord Blue Beetle, which we saw his daughter in the Blue Beetle movie, the newer ones have it with Jaime Reyes, who is Zolo Merduena's playing.
Yeah.
I don't feel that Kamal Nanjiani is the right age for our Booster Gold.
Yeah, the age gap between both actors is going to be kind of a weird dynamic. I don't know, but it might work because it all depends how they introduce each other, right? That's the biggest thing.
I agree. I think it's all gonna be how it's written. I could definitely see them going the route of like the Iron Man mentorship to Spider-Man that we saw in the MCU,
Mhm.
where you have Booster Gold being the mentor to Spider-Man, and maybe he's already been an established hero and he already had this whole relationship with Ted Kord, and we just don't know about it yet. And they could do some really cool flashback scenes. However, that's never really kind of been Booster Gold's MO. He's always been more of a Star-Lord type character.
Mhm.
And I feel like you can't have that type of friendship as a buddy superhero movie
Yeah,
without having someone who's grounded.
correct.
And I don't see Booster Gold being that person.
Yeah, to me, I again, like I said, it's gonna be tough. I just can't envision it. Again, they've proven us wrong before, but for now, I just don't know how it's gonna work.
Like, you know how they equated Deadpool and Wolverine to kind of being like your planes, trains, and automobiles with John Candy?
Yes.
I could see a Blue and Gold movie kind of being your Harold and Kumar,
That would actually be kind of cool.
which I could see that. But again, I think the age of Booster Gold will make it a little weird. Having this like older, I don't want to say middle age, but he's in his early to mid 40s, acting like a child. I think it works for Star-Lord.
Hmm.
I think it would be repeating the past for James Gunn.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, but you know, most of those guys, directors, they kind of pull from past films, you know, to create some of their new work. So we'll see.
So that being said, I think I know who could actually play a really good Booster Gold.
Who's that?
Jacob Bertrand from Cobra Kai.
Yeah,
Eli Hawk Moskowitz.
yeah. Age close, right?
Yep.
I
They
think-
already have an established acting history.
correct with each other.
They have a friendship that off-camera friendship could translate to on-camera.
Yeah, correct.
I think the only thing that'd be difficult is Jacob Bertrand has already spoken out as he wants to be in the Blue Beetle franchise, but he wants to be a villain.
Mm.
And I gotta say, if you have not watched Cobra Kai on Netflix, you need to go watch it, because when you're introduced to Eli Moskowitz at the beginning of season 1, and he has like the janky lip, he's referred to as lip,
Mhm.
and his whole personality revolves around him having a deformed lip.
Yep.
And then I think it's like episode 3 or 4, we kind of see the turn in him. That kid becomes so menacing.
Yes.
And he's probably all of 120 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah. He is. He's a small guy.
I think other than the villains that we meet in the later seasons, I think he is probably one of the most terrifying people in the entire show.
Yeah, he definitely is. He played the part very well. He used that what would you say, his deficiencies the right way to make him menacing. So yeah, you're right.
Like it was like even when we finally see like Robbie Keane kind of turn to Cobra Kai and he shaves off Hawk's mohawk,
Mm-hmm.
I still think Eli Hawk Moskowitz is more menacing than a fully like evil per se Robbie Keane.
Yeah, most definitely.
So that's what I think. I really would like to see Jacob Bertrand enter the DCU with not being a villain. Or if he's going to be a villain, make him a villain that sticks around. It can't be a one-off.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do a whole podcast on James Gunn and the DC universe because quite honestly, I don't know what they're doing, but it seems like they're just flushing it down the toilet.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because it's picking and choosing, and who makes the decisions on what characters to
James
bring
Gunn.
in. Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. He had a few good runs with Marvel. I will see. DC was okay.
You know that James Gunn is like the Kevin Feige of DC, right?
Yes, I know.
Okay. And it's since he kind of came in, we really haven't seen much happen.
No, they're trying to build a DC universe, right? But
Yeah.
it still hasn't been the pieces haven't come together yet. So we've seen bits here and there. They're trying to build something, but nothing yet, right? So it's almost like the early stages of Marvel where you had all the separate films and then they worked everything in. So maybe he's taking that direction, where everything really doesn't belong together yet until later on.
I could see them if they do introduce Booster Gold working towards Justice League International, which is Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Fire and Ice. Like that would be a great team. But like you kind of said earlier, it's kind of your B or C tier heroes. Like, I don't know, like where are you gonna go with that?
I know it's tough. Like, obviously, I'm not trying to get killed by the DC fandom, but I mean, DC in its own right doesn't have a huge following.
I think it did back early 2000s, like Dark Knight era.
Yes.
Like even off of oh gosh, why can I not remember his name? He was in the Flash universe. He had played Superman. Brendan Routh.
Oh yes. Yep.
I think that era they had done really well. Like it wasn't the best Superman movie, but it was definitely better than like I'd say the Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
Yeah, I mean it's always a bump up just because of graphics and all that good stuff. But I don't know. I think DC has always been like the redheaded stepchild to Marvel,
which is crazy because like I personally
they have a ton of iconic characters,
and I think they have better storylines.
I think their storylines are a little bit darker, more in touch with the human aspect of the characters, right? And I think Marvel is like just out of this world, global kind of disaster stuff.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I think the DC storylines they integrate throughout all the characters. They bring everyone around. Where the Marvel, there's so many comic lines that are going on that they do cross over, but they cross over in their tiny little spheres.
Correct.
Until there's like a big, like multi-cosmic event.
Correct.
Where DC has the potential to be amazing. However, I feel maybe it's part of the fandom and maybe it's part of the planning. I feel like they're getting roped into trying to play or being called into playing catch up with Marvel.
Yeah. It seems that way, right? Because they try to imitate with the team ups and all this stuff, where I think if they just planned it right, they have the characters to make something really great. It's just it almost feels rushed because, like you said, they're trying to catch up. I think if they took their time with the characters they have at their disposal, it could be great.
Agreed. Like, have you seen any of the behind the scenes footage of the new Superman movie?
Not yet, no.
So a little like behind the scenes stuff. They had pictures of Mr. Terrific, Martian Manhunter, and there was another hero that I'm blanking on. They're introducing a lot of characters, which I don't know how they're introducing a lot of the characters. It could be like kind of throwaway Easter egg. Kinda like, did you watch the Snyder Cut
Yes,
where they had the Green Lanterns in the Snyder
Correct.
Cut? That would have been a perfect scene to introduce the Green Lantern Corps without introducing the Green Lantern Corps.
correct.
Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. We're only seeing like a snapshot of behind the scenes. So, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm going to spend money seeing these movies regardless.
Me
no matter
too.
how much I say
Me
they
too.
look great or they don't look great. I'm still going to spend money to go see them because I'm a comic book nerd at heart.
Yeah. I just feel like they have, to the regular public that doesn't know anything about the comics, you have to build that character arc, right?
Mhm.
So you got to introduce them, kind of give them a backstory, because if you just introducing people left and right with no backstory, there's no emotional attachment to the characters, and it's just gonna fade.
Yeah. And that's where I really think like movies have either made it or failed it because you're not falling in love with the idea of the character. You're falling in love with that person.
Correct.
And that's why I think Robert Downey Jr. did a phenomenal job with his Iron Man.
Correct.
Because, if the Iron Man storyline was just that compelling, the 90s animated series would have done a hell of a lot better.
Correct.
But
Correct.
it didn't. Like
Correct.
they had a whole Avengers We Assemble like TV show in the 90s that Cap, Thor, Iron Man weren't even a part of.
Correct.
It was Scarlet Witch, Wonder Man, Vision, Hawkeye. Like we're talking B and C tier heroes that
Yeah.
they said, you know what, let's give them a team up show and not these people
Yeah,
who were
the
the
main guy.
founding
Yeah.
Avengers.
Correct.
So I don't that's where my mindset is. But what do you say we move on to our this or that segment?
Let's do it. Let's do it.